Hi everyone, let's talk about WWE NXT, guys. Let's talk about it, guys. So the show opens with a recap of Great American Bash, and then we had the Further Influence make their entrance as JC Jane gets on the mic, and she sounds like a little frog and apologizes for it, and explains that Jordan Grace elbowed her in the throat at Great American Bash, and things didn't go her way because since members of Final Influence dropped the ball, and she knows Jasmine Nix tried her best, but sometimes your best isn't good enough. But she and Fallen Haley made it up by helping her retain her title at Evolution. And Fallen Haley says JC Jane is going to be champion for a very, very long time. And JC Jane says she's going to continue doing things no one thought she could and things that no one ever done before, like at the TNA pay-per-view this today, and going title with the TNA Knockouts champion Musa Slamovich, and she's going to walk out of New York with both championships. And then Musa Slamovich came out and she walked to the ring and said the only reason JC is and she's on the mic, she had mic problems, and Fallon helpfully switched out with her and still holding the NXT Women's Championship is because Blake Monroe smashed Jordan Grace in the back with the title at Evolution, and it took 4 women to take the title on JC Jane's belt. So she's going to mock the world and be the first TNA wrestler to hold the NXT Women's Championship. And then JC Singh said, nah, she's going to win. And then enter Soruka, flipped by Saria, and then she takes issues to much of JC Jane being the only one with the 2 titles when she had both the NXT Women's North American Championship and the WWE Women's Speed Championship. And if she going to put money on anyone Saturday, it would be Masha, and Saria calls Soruka the MVP of the weekend with 3 matches back to back and all of that stuff. Then we had the Dark Side versus Joe Henry and Mike Santana and Trick Williams, and the Dark Side won by disqualification and stuff like that. And then the system runs Dark Side off and stands tall. And then we get an earlier footage of Ariana Grace and Arlen Armstrong and Carmen Panzakovic in the locker room arguing about who's most different to be in a battle royal. And it ends up with Carmen challenging Armstrong to an involved women's championship match, and then Armstrong makes her entrance and stuff, and then we see Jordan Grace arriving at the arena to send us to the break and stuff, and then back from the commercial we get another D'Angelo family history vignette since the debut of Lorenzo Stacks and all of that stuff and all that jazz and stuff with the vignette. And then we had Armstrong fences Carmen, and Armstrong won by disqualification. Then the post-match, Jordan Grace slammed Carmen Pasakovic for good measure and gets on the mic and calls on Blake Monroe to come down and explain herself right now. And Robert Stone and Steve Hunter come down to explain she's not here, but she got a video on the Titran explaining that essentially Blake Monroe explains everything about Jordan. And if you look at the both of them, who would be whether them be and all that jazz, which was good and stuff like that, guys. And then we sense an invasion to Jordan Grace for this coming week. And then backstage, some LFG kids are backstage chanting when Trick Williams rolls up and tells them that when your TNA World Champion says move, you move. And if anyone's feeling froggy, they can jump a beard German step up, and Williams tells him to go after the goal asked the Undertaker for permission to stop fooling around, and the Undertaker calls another bird guy on the phone, and he answers as we cut away to go to the break. And then back from the commercial, Everrain brings Jasper Troy into her office and talks to, and she tells Troy he can't just keep attacking people, and he says he was just minding his own business when Ricky Saints entered his territory, and he says he settled things in the ring in NXT, so she booked a match and so on and so forth, which was really good stuff right there, guys. And it's going to break him up and all that. And then we get another D'Angelo family vignette about Tony bringing Ariana Russo and Lusa Crucifu, and then the betrayed rule that sorts the family apart. And then Lorenzo Stacks and Lusa Crucifu make their entrance, and we go to the break and stuff like that. And then back from the break, Last Legend is interviewed about her excellent performance in the Evolution Battle Royal, but Jada Parker rolls up to say that essentially she's the one that should be getting opportunities out of it. Then Tony D'Angelo faced Lorenzo Stacks and Lusa Crusu, and it was a good match and stuff, guys. And Tony D'Angelo pinned by pinfall with a twist spinebuster on Lorenzo Stacks. Then we get a recap of Charlie Dempsey's fierce victory over Heights from last week. And backstage, Heights is asking Winston Clear why she threw the towel in, and she makes her case for his safety, but he says he known what is capable as an invincible, and he sees Miles Bourne getting his shot, and he wants that. And then Charlie Dempsey rolls up and says that he can go against next week, but Winston Clears says nobody. She's got something of her own next week, and she's wrestling Blake Monroe, and Heights is excited for her, and Charlie kind of a crap and kind of a being a bad mean person, and he says he's being in her corner is her choice and stuff and all that. And then Josh Brooks is shown walking backstage to send us to the break and all that. And then back from the commercial, we get a recap of Isamura in the NXT Championship match and Josh Brooks interfering in it. And then Josh Brooks is in the ring and says on Saturday he watched the opportunity of a lifetime get slaughtered, and he said he did everything he could to make sure his friend left with the NXT Championship, but he didn't want to and win as bad as Josh wanted him to win. But that's not why he's mad. He's mad because Isamura has been here less than a year, and he's already got a title match when Josh Brooks has been there for 4 years, and so on and so forth. Then Oba Femi comes out, and he tells Josh that Saturday wasn't supposed to be about him, and it was present that he caused some trouble, but whether he was there or not, the ruler was always going to come out on top. But because of Josh Brooks involved, he ruins the match, and people are now since the fence of Oba's match. And Josh says he saw Oba getting strength under, and he's being pushed to be in his limits, and every week, and he's going to break. And now that Amora is a man of honor, but he's a damn sure he isn't, and all that good jazz and so on and so forth. And then we had the whole thing with Chesper Troy and all of that good stuff with Trick Williams and a confront next week and all of that jazz. And then Musa Slemovich and Soruka and Saria and backstage getting each other pep talk with the Colin in the backstage, and Easy Dame telling Tatum Paisley to get up, and Tatum Paisley does something apologized by Easy to tell her she's not mad at her. She's mad at Soruka for still having the NXT Women's North American Championship. And Tatum Paisley bases up and says she got an idea, and we got cut away. And then Fallen Influence makes their entrance to send us to the break. And then we had Fallen Influence, Fallen Hazley, and JD Jane and Jasmine Nix fences Muscle Slamovich and Soruka and Saria. And Muscle Slamovich and Soruka and Saria defeated the Final Influence, and that's what happened, guys. And then Muscle Slamovich stands tall while Final Influence regroups at the base of the ramp, and that's what happened, guys. And that's all I have to say, guys. So this is Christopher Killer. Also, again, this is Christopher Killer, guys. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I give this show a freaking 8 out of 10, guys. And that's all I have to say, guys. Peace out and take care, guys. Peace out and take care.